Hey guys, what's going on? This is Leo. So I want to make some comments on this new rule 17 or 7.13, I believe it was, the NYSE rule that they want to suspend trading for 2 days. I'm going to play a clip from one of my favorite movies, The Big Short, and I think it's going to explain what's going on, in my opinion.
Mark, you there?
Mark,
Paulson and Bernanke just left the White House. There's going to be a bailout.
well, they had to, right? I mean, paper markets would have
They
collapsed.
knew.
Cash would have stopped coming out of ATMs. They had to backstop this.
They knew the taxpayers would bail them out. They weren't being stupid. They just didn't care.
Yeah, because they're fucking crooks. But
At least we're going to see some of them go to jail. Right? I mean, they're going to have to break up the banks.
I mean, the party's over.
I don't know. I have a feeling that in a few years, people are going to be doing what they always do when the economy tanks. They will be blaming immigrants and poor people.
Now, halting trading for 2 days doesn't make sense. It, unless what they're thinking to do is, it's very possible that once this thing gets going, it's going to rip. And by rip, I mean it's going to keep going and going and going. And that won't give them enough time to cut some sort of a deal. If this thing gets, every minute that it's running, it's getting farther up in price. That's costing more money. So if they do a 2 day halt, that could be enough time for them to make some sort of a deal, whether that is you know, a, a permanent SEC halt, or by permanent, I mean, until everybody closes out their positions. And what they do is some sort of a settlement for X amount of dollars. At what price they would do this halt, I don't know. I suspect that it would depend on the price velocity, meaning how quick it is skyrocketing. Of course, there's a certain price where they would probably just shut it down to begin with. But this is what I'm talking about when I say that uh, they're not going to let it get up to 100,000. They're not going to let it go that high. They'll stop it before it gets there because they don't have enough money to pay it. And what people don't realize is, okay, sure, AMC, right? They've shorted, and they do their math where, oh, well, the entire, insurance fund has $60 trillion. But what they don't account for is that this is one stock, but they've also done it to GME and who knows how many others. And all those positions have to be paid for. So whenever they run their little, I like to call it entrepreneur math, of, well, there's $60 trillion in the insurance fund. If they just wipe all that out and pay everybody, then everything's good. But what they're not accounting for is you have to pay GME, you have to pay all these other short positions that need to be covered as well, that they've been doing this to. Also, what they don't get is that if you have to sell those assets, it's not like they have $60 trillion of actual dollars just sitting in an account waiting to pay out. Those are held in assets. It's backed by assets. So all those assets in the insurance fund would need to be sold off in order to pay for this. And the problem is whenever you have a sell of that magnitude, hypothetically, let's say they're going to sell all 60 trillion. What's going to happen to the price of those assets as they're selling it off? It's going to keep going down and down and down and down. And then I've heard some talk of it's been several weeks since I've looked into it, so forgive me if I'm not brushed up on it. But it had to do with depositing stocks and then taking a loan to be able to pay for it. I forget what term they used to call it. But the problem with that is you still need that cash to be able to pay the people out to begin with, right? So nobody has $60 trillion to pay out everyone that's wanting to get paid out around this 500K, 100K price range. So hopefully that puts a little bit more perspective bringing everybody back to like realistic expectations. But I think that this is very indicative that what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to be prepared to halt it and to do a settlement. At what price? I don't know. We're just going to have to hope for the best. And it could be something else that this has to pertain to, but the only thing that makes sense to me is that they're preparing to essentially halt trading, and they want to give it enough time to cut deals, see how much of a bailout they can get, whatever they're going to work behind the scenes, right? Because like I said, once this thing gets going, it's going to keep going. And every minute that it is going, it's getting more and more and more expensive. So those are my thoughts on it. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And I think that this scene from The Big Short, talking about what happened back in 2008, is very, it's rhyming to what's going on right now. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Take care.